I need help stopping abuse. I need a quiet environment of my own where it's mine, where people can't make unreasonable demands all the time of me, where people can't give me a sandwich and then hold it over my head for 6 months. I don't get to control the stimuli in my environment. If people want to scream, I'm stuck with the screaming. The police officers don't want to do their jobs, I'm stuck with that too. I'm stuck with the consequences. Are there things that people can do, like Claire or Brin, for example? I've sent Claire evidence of abuse against me so that she could see it with her own two eyes and help me to turn it in. And much of what I get out of people in that situation is, oh, well, I didn't see it. Did you watch the video? Yeah. What does it look like in the video? Oh, yeah, the video shows you got hit. Video shows you got assaulted. Video shows that Jamie lady got assaulted. All right. That's video evidence. You have seen this video evidence, therefore you can verify that it's the truth, whereas cops refuse to look at it and then call me a liar. So Brin got to be there to see Chris Stafford throwing rocks at my car and screaming and hooting and hollering and yelling and not leaving me the hell alone. That's how he ended up on my YouTube channel to begin with, being a lying skeezy POS. Don't get me wrong, there's things with Amanda that I didn't think were perfect. But that ain't no excuse for what he did. The things that I've had to do are to defend myself against sickos like Chris Stafford. People like Andrew Wolness. Registered sex offenders like Robert Franklin Warnick. These are the sickos that I have to deal with because I don't have a friend or family member who's going to take the time right away to turn it in. That's what we need to do. Repeatedly, I've tried to turn stuff in right away to be blown off and bullied by police officers. Every time. And all these other folks, their excuses. Oh, well, the cops won't listen to me. I'm a this and I'm a that. Okay, so you're a felon. So what? Ted Bollinger's a felon. The police helped him to get away with that shit. A lot of my predators are felons. Guess who's not a felon? Me. I'm not a felon. Did you know that? How many of my predators have a history of child abuse? A lot of them. Most of them, like Ted Bollinger, have history of abusing their own kids. People like Amy Witcher, history of abusing their own kids. All right, so one of the things with Claire and Brin, if Claire's daughter called her up and said, I was just assaulted, how long would it take for Claire to make the time to call it in? And rightly so. Of course, you already know she'd call immediately. That's family. What if it was her best friend that it happened to? Would it be right away? Would it be 2 weeks away? 2 months away? Brin got to see some of the situation, and with both of these women, I get to hear their reasons and or excuses. I mean, I got to see what Claire sent me. I can believe that she's snowed in. I can believe that they were out of power. There was a notification came across my phone saying there was people in Colorado without power. So what Claire had to say yesterday about not coming through, she was going to spend the whole day. Finally, somebody was going to spend the whole day making calls with me. Now she hadn't heard the story yet. That's because she gets excited about hers, and rightly so. It don't matter if you're Tillamook government officials or they mama's ex. There are things that you do not do to kids. For me, I have a long day of I don't know what. I still need to find somebody to help advocate for me who actually cares what I'm going through instead of somebody who wants to shove me off in a corner and leave me to my own devices and call it good. Because that doesn't advocate for me. That doesn't get a human being to look at what I'm going through. And that's the humanity that's missing here. I have to find a quiet place to do this. I have to find a place for all of my stuff. I have to find a place where I can sit down and make a mess with it because that's going to happen. I can't go through my papers unless I can pull them out, all of them, and go through them. And I have to keep on moving. And every time I have to move, I have to pile it all into plastic bags and move it again. And I have to pay somebody to move it again. I make $800 a month disability. That is not enough to live on. I was cheated out of my housing before Natalie was killed because, well, people like Nicole Peralta didn't think they needed to do their job. People like Dual County Sheriff's Department didn't think that they needed to do their job, and they weren't going to do their job until I got a friend or family member to care. And you know what? To this day, I haven't had that. When you care, you make the time. If we have to make the call at 2 o'clock in the fucking morning because it's the only time that you have, then fucking let's make the goddamn call at 2 o'clock in the morning. But you have to speak up for me. When they try talking over me, you have to speak up. And how can I hope that someone is going to speak up when police are talking over me? When these people themselves are talking over me? Now, Brin, she's got health issues. That's totally believable. The people in her family have health issues. That's totally believable. They're broke. Well, I see what they're living in. That's totally believable too. She could help turn in that situation with Chris Stafford. She helped me fill out part of one piece of paper. It was people always show up after it's too late to do something. For example, I get 3 hours at the library. If we set it up so that you and I can have a one-on-one conversation, I have to carry my stuff up to the library to do that. Which is physically excruciating. And no matter how many times I say that, people want to pretend like I'm able to do that every single day. And I just simply am not. When they're going to spend the day making the phone calls with me, and I call them first thing in the morning, and the traffic's too loud, and I'm supposed to call back in a half an hour. And she said, well, even if it's an hour, that's right. Well, I did call back within a half an hour, no reply. I called back within an hour, no reply. All day, no reply. Last night, she finally got a hold of me to let me know it was a weird day. Well, it was a horrible day for me. It was excruciating. It was painful. I still don't have a quiet place. She said she understands. She understands. Well, if she understood, she would understood that the reason I'm telling her this is because these are the things that these other people need to know, the things that they need to listen to. None of these people are doing their jobs. And how is Claire going to know that? I can explain to her what these people's jobs are. How many people have said that they'll listen to me? Then they call me up and then they tell me they're going to do a bunch of research. What are you researching? You haven't heard my story. You have no idea what you're researching. Literally, all you're doing is listening to other people tell a story that they weren't there for. Why don't you listen to the person who was there? When you say, "Oh, I wasn't there to see it," you know what? With any of my videos, the people use to turn me in as if I'm some sort of a monster. Nobody was there in person. Nobody. Nobody was there in person. Not one person was there in person. So how could any of these people's testimony go in? How can my recordings being used out of context be allowed in court? Turned in by people in Texas. But you can't turn it in because you're in a different state. You can't turn it in because you weren't there when it happened. Is that what you would say to your daughter? Is that what you would say to your son? See, that's the problem with all of these laws that you guys keep thinking that I'm entitled to. You're right. I'm supposed to be entitled to them. But the law is selectively ignored because none of you turn it in with me. It's been 2 weeks. Brin saying she wasn't able to talk for a while there and that she was sick and that she fell down and got injured. That's all understandable stuff. Those are all valid reasons, almost. Except that she's telling me these things, not the cops, not the courts. The courts, you have to fill it out on paper and turn it in. That's the thing the cops have deterred everybody from doing. They just want you to talk to them and they'll try to deter you from turning it in or talk over everything that you're saying. Reword all of it. See, that's the thing with Nathan trying to talk for me over there. He shouldn't have done that. Candy shouldn't have jumped the gun and called and forced that situation to happen with somebody who was uninformed. Nathan didn't know what the fuck was going on. That's because he didn't take the time to stay informed, just like my dad didn't take the time to stay informed, just like Candy didn't take the time to stay informed. None of these people gave a fuck. They didn't stay informed. Now, my living conditions are something that is supposed to be looked into when I go to social services. And this is something that Brin could try to understand. This is something that Claire could understand. None of these people have made a single goddamn effort to look at my living conditions. They haven't taken a single goddamn effort to look at any of the goddamn evidence, no matter what. There's some goddamn excuse why they're not going to fucking try. Claire could speak up about this. But I can't get her to listen to my story or any of the individual crimes. I can't get her to call to listen. Just like Shannon Alvarado, she wants to listen with her mouth, and that is not listening. She says, "All right, Sean, we'll let it be about you." And just like with Shannon Alvarado, when she says that, I get 2 sentences in, and it's her turn to speak again. She needs to say something. Please listen to my story, please. Please stop interrupting it constantly to say things like that. Or, of course, there's the infamous pretty words, "A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush." You just got to love yourself. Then there's people who say, if you weren't negative all the time, but ever try now, that's negativity. See it? I wasn't there. It's not my fault. You just need to love yourself. Have you tried just moving on? Have you tried moving somewhere else? Oh, you were raped? Well, I'm sorry that happened. I'm busy right now, though. I got to go to work. What about after work? Could they make the time? No, they're too exhausted. You know what? I am never too exhausted. When somebody calls me and says I was assaulted, I am never too exhausted to do something. I will listen to their story and remember the details because I actually care. Most of these people don't remember any of the details, even if I've said them 100 times, because they got some nugget in their head that they're going to OCD about for the next 45 minutes. And let me tell you how evil Brin is. She's not. Let me tell you how evil Claire is. She's not. Let me tell you how evil Shannon Alvarado is. Well, she's doing some pretty evil shit now, isn't she? She's angry that I told the truth about her alcoholism. I get that. She can't answer the question straight, can she? She wants to use every opportunity to take cheap shots at me. Now, thank goodness Claire isn't doing that, and Brin isn't doing that. Then again, I don't see the alcohol issues with Brin. I don't see the alcohol issues with Claire. I also wasn't forced to live with Brin or Claire in order to get their help. But the other thing is, the most important part of helping someone who's being abused is to listen to their story. Listen with your ears, not your mouth. Make the time if you care. Don't say you care, all right? Don't do that. Show that you care by making the time. Make the time to listen, not to make suggestions, not to give advice. I don't need advice on how to turn in crimes that are committed against me. I need a friend or family member who knows what's going on to turn it in with me, not for me. And then I just have to believe that they did so afterwards because they never show proof. No one ever shows proof. They just want me to believe them, and then they throw tantrums when I don't. Of course, I don't believe you because you're not helping me turn it into the courts. You're not writing it down. You're not making the calls with me. You'll tell me something, but you won't tell the cops. You won't tell the public. I grew up in the system. I know all about rule number one. You never talk to the cops. They're not your friends. That's only if you're a poor person. If you're a person who's got means and you want to turn it in, the cops will tell you exactly how to do it and they will help you to do it. But if you're a homeless white boy out here on the streets, they'll lie to you and mislead you and send you around in circles, infer that you're ill. I don't need fucking therapy. I need a cop to do his goddamn job. No cop is going to do their job for somebody like me unless there's a friend or family member who gives a fuck. If it takes 2 weeks to turn in something like that, you don't give a fuck. It's been past 2 weeks and still nobody's helped me to turn in the assaults. It's been past 2 weeks since when Napier's dad assaulted me in the Shell station. It was Saturday, March 1st at around noon, within 5 minutes before or after. There's also the assaults by John Stevens. That was about 2 weeks ago, too. Then there's the stuff with Chris Stafford. Brin got to see that with her own two eyes, live in person. What are the cops going to try saying? Oh, well, since you saw it through a pane of glass, it must not have actually happened. You must have been watching TV and hallucinated it, right? This shit is not okay. Nobody should have to go through this alone, and that's exactly what I'm having to do. I don't have anybody in my corner and never did. What shows that is that people don't listen to my story. How can they help me to turn in crimes that they're not even willing to listen to? When I'm trying to tell you about a crime that I need help turning in, and you're telling me about stuff that happened to you 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 2 decades ago. It's too much. So yesterday I took the day to try to get that done. Try to go to the library so we could make those calls. All day long. People typing at me that they intend on helping. Then there's all of these quote unquote professionals. I send them evidence myself because nobody else is helping me. And those professionals claim they can't see any of it. Well, Claire can see it. Brin can see it. Why is it that they can see it, but this guy Jim from TCHC can't? And then there's the lack of morality with any DHS department. Or these DHS people who are mandated reporters tell me they have to ask their boss. And then their boss tells them to do something that's illegal or immoral. Maybe you should have watched the mandated reporter training videos for your state before you got started doing stupid things. Candy was going to help me turn in the assaults, and after 6 months, all she'd done is talk over me and have a bunch of ideas, and we had to do everything that she wanted to do. We're not going to do it the legal way. We're going to do it the way Candy wants. We're not going to do it the legal way. We're going to do it the way that Shannon Alvarado wants. We're not going to do it the legal way. We're going to do it the way that Alyssa Rainwater wants, or Vicky Rain wants. Why do all these women feel like pushing a victim in the wrong direction instead of helping to turn in his help? Why is it they think that telling me to download an app is help? No matter how many apps I download. Oh, you think that if I download 30 more different ways of recording a video so that my phone is filled up with space of a bunch of apps, is that going to help me? No, that takes away from my ability to download videos. Then there's the fact that I'm technologically inept. I have to hire people with my disability money to help me with these things because I don't have access. What I have is people who blow me off and waste my time. I need help stopping this abuse. And the longer these people procrastinate, the more fucked I am. And everyone procrastinates like this. And I can't call it anything other than that, because even if this crappy stuff is happening to these people in rapid succession, they can make the time to listen when we have the time on the phone instead of talking over me. They can make the time to turn it in with me instead of arguing with me and being negative and saying, oh, well, if this person doesn't have a chance, then what chance do we have? If this is going on with that guy who was choked to death by the cops, what chance do you have, Sean? I've got a lot of chance if I've got somebody who gives a fuck instead of somebody who's going to be negative all the time. And when I say, hey, please stop doing that. It is disrespectful. It is demeaning. For every one of you women watching this video, I want you to imagine that you were just raped and you went to your friends and family and this is how you were treated. But it's okay because I'm a guy, isn't it? It's disgusting.